The walls around the old city have been partially destroyed and rebuilt many times. Sometimes certain parts were relocated as the city grew. The walls sometimes were enlarged. At least once, some were destroyed by an earthquake. The last time the walls were rebuilt was between 1535 and 1538. The current walls are nearly 2½ miles in length. The average height is about 39 feet, and average thickness about 8 feet. Walking along the top of most of the wall can be done. A person can look down into the city. Part of the oldest wall ever found in the city, approximately 2000 to 1550 BC, is in the city of David. The Mamilla Mall in Jerusalem, one of the two largest. This huge mall stretches from the Jaffa Gate for several blocks. Near the beginning of the Ben Yehuda Mall. Ben Yehuda Mall in Jerusalem.
Memorial for a soldier called Avshalom Shah, and he was gay as well.
We are now in the Stalactite Cave.
Hill.
U.S. Capitol, Washington.
Old city of Jerusalem.
And dated.
Moses standing on top of Mount Sinai. We're now standing in the Valley of Elah. We're now in the Valley of Elah. Here was the camp of the Philistines. And here was Saul and the Israelites.
Shall I move forward?
The Bell Caves. These are the Bell Caves, with their stunning cathedral-like chambers and its beautiful acoustics that reverberate through these caves of chalk and limestone. There are numerous caves with some as high as 18 meters or 60 feet. Reportedly, they date to the 4th century BC. With a heavy schedule of most tours, these caves are seen by very few, but are well worth the visit. They are located at the Beit Gurveen National Park, which is about 35 miles southwest of Jerusalem on Route 35. We're in Beersheba. A favorite meal, falafel and Sprite. The Beersheba Market.
Ted.
Ben Gurion's house. Sde Boker Kibbutz. Midrashet Ben Gurion. The kibbutz was established in the Negev in May 1952. It is about 25 miles south of Beersheba. Reportedly, a large farm existed there from the late 7th century. Some remains still exist. In 1953, Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion resigned and moved to the kibbutz with his wife Paula. He returned to politics in 1955, but continued to live in the kibbutz until his death in 1973. The Ben-Gurions are buried there. Their home and the kibbutz is open. Midreshet Ben-Gurion is a place of learning for researchers and educators. It is inspired by the desert and those who share Ben-Gurion's passion for this place. Many of these are just all around us. Ben-Gurion's grave and his wife. Here in the area of Ben-Gurion's grave. It's beautiful. Looking down at about a 60-degree angle. He's only about 18 inches tall.
I'll let you use your imagination. I would say so.
A high security prison.
Or winter, summer, spring, fall camp.
That was the Ramon prison.
To build. Its construction cost approximately $6 billion. Each flight cost another $500 million.
We're now in a small movie theater.
All around the
by cliffs, drained by a river.
In danger of extinction.
We are going to be looking at Maktesh Ramon. The huge crater. Here is the edge, and the drop off is huge. I would estimate that the drop, strictly an estimate, is maybe the height of the Empire State Building or the Twin Towers. This is the building that we were just in and seen several different movies. Craters in the Negev. 5 craters are located in the Negev. The Ramon crater is the largest erosion crater, or Maktesh, in the world. There is also the small crater, Katan, and the large crater, Gadol. In addition, there are 2 very small ones. What is a Maktesh? Long ago, the Negev desert is believed to have been covered by an ocean. As it receded northward, it left a hump-shaped hill. This slowly flattened by water and other forces. The crater bottom deepened at a faster rate than its walls, which increased in height. These unique craters are not from a meteor, but from erosion in the soil and the rock. The Ramon crater, the largest and most spectacular, is the Ramon crater about 50 miles south of Beersheba. The crater is 25 miles long and 1.25 to 6.2 miles wide, and about 450 to 500 meters, or approximately 3/10 of a mile, deep. It is Israel's largest national park. The Ramon Nature Reserve. Much wildlife exists in the crater. The hills are known for their colors. Fossils have been found from the size of snails to the size of tractor wheels. There are moderate to strong winds. Upon entering the reception building, a video is presented explaining how it all came about. Then one walks out to a spectacular view from an observation area. Mitzpe Ramon, community of Ramon. Mitzpe Ramon has a population of about 4,800. Stargazing is big here, having the clearest, darkest skies in Israel. It is home to Israel's largest research telescope at the nearby Weiss Observatory. Mitzpe Ramon. Mitzpe Ramon has a population of about 4,800. Stargazing is big here, having the clearest, darkest skies in Israel. It is home to Israel's largest research telescope at the nearby Weiss Observatory. The Alpaca farm in Mitzpe Ramon raises over 400 exotic alpacas and llamas. Visitors can pet and hand feed the friendly animals and follow the process from shearing and spinning the wool to the finished product. There is also a nearby prison. The town has several hotels. The Mitzpe Ramon Jazz Club has musical ensembles on the weekend. The women's prison. Actually, it's women's and men's prison. A Bedouin village. Bedouins Part 1. The term Bedouin comes from a plural form of the Arabic word Badawi, meaning desert dweller. The Arabian Peninsula is the original home of the Bedouins. They spread out to other deserts because of a lack of water and food. Bedouin camps, or little communities, are spread throughout much of Israel, mainly in the south, also other countries. A widely quoted Bedouin saying is, "I against my brother, my brothers and I against my cousins, then my cousins and I against strangers." This signifies the loyalty based on kinship. The family unit mainly consists of 3 or 4 adults, a married couple, plus siblings. Bedouins Part 2. A tribe often claims descent from one common ancestor. Some can number 20,000 or more. They may have strong honor codes. They engage in herding, agriculture, sometimes fishing, and moving goods and people across the desert. Their society is sometimes considered a world without time. Laws have forced most Bedouins to become citizens of various nations rather than stateless nomadic herders. In 1948, an estimated 65,000 to 90,000 Bedouins lived in the Negev. In 1998, the total Bedouin population of Israel was estimated to be 170,000. About half live in unrecognized villages. All Israeli Bedouins were granted citizenship in 1954. The ancient city of Avdad was the most important city on the incense route after Petra. It was inhabited by the Nabateans, then the Romans, and later the Byzantines. It was a camping ground for the Nabatean caravans going from Petra to Gaza. After the Roman annexation in 106 AD, and the lack of trade through the area, they adopted to agriculture and the production of wine. Special water channels were built to collect water rains. Approximately 6 wine presses from the Byzantine period have been found. On October 4, 2009, the site suffered much damage when vandals smashed hundreds of artifacts and smeared paint on the walls. And in the wilderness, what do we find? A McDonald's. The Nabateans were not an ethnic identity or a nation. They were like a tribe or family and numbered about 10,000. They had a strong sense of freedom and were of Arab origin. They began to accept Christianity. They raised camels and sheep in the desert and were involved with spices and commodities. They prospered as they lived along trade routes. There were 4 Nabatean towns and other facilities. They grew food in the Negev with advanced watering systems. Their control of the Negev ended when the Romans annexed their lands in approximately 106 AD. Then the Romans diverted the routes through Egypt. The Nabateans seemed to vanish. The acacia tree. The desert tree is also known as the thorn tree, whistling thorn, and wattle. The Bible calls it Shittim, and its plural Shittim. Its wood was used in the construction of the wilderness tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant. Some guides may not give a good explanation of the various areas of the Negev. Neither do maps. Where is the dividing line of each? Have you seen a map that specifies exactly where each one is and where some overlap? In addition, some extend into Jordan and Egypt. For simplicity, let's deal with Israel. The Negev is the entire desert area in the southeastern Israel from Beersheba in the north to Eilat on the Red Sea or the south. The Negev population is approximately 630,000, or over 8% of Israel's population. Approximately 75% are Jews, and 25%, or 160,000, are Bedouins. About 1/2 of the Bedouins live in unrecognized villages, and half in towns built by the government between 1960 to the 1980s. The Negev, what it has, the south, its size, and wilderness of Zen. The Negev has a nuclear reactor, many petrochemical factories, an oil terminal, off-limit military areas, quarries, toxic waste incinerator, cell towers, power plant, several airports, a prison, and is the center of the Israeli solar industry. Psalm 126:4 refers to the Negev as the south. It covers about 55% of Israel's land area, or 4,700 square miles. The wilderness of Zin in the northern part of the Negev and ends somewhere in the middle of the Negev. The wilderness of Zin and Paran overlap somewhat in the area of Kadesh Barnea. The wilderness of Paran. This is in the southeastern part of the Negev. Its northern border is somewhat in the middle of the Negev. Its southern border extends to Eilat, the southern part of Israel, where it meets the Red Sea. It is mentioned in Genesis 21, 20 and 21 and other verses. Community. A small moshav in the Araba Valley, about 40% of the way between the end of the Dead Sea and Eilat. Reportedly, it has about 100 families and grows peppers and flowers for export. Date palms also are raised, and dairy cows and turkeys as well as other things. The Araba, or Araba, the plain, reference Deuteronomy 1:7. The Araba is a section of the Jordan Rift Valley. It lies on the border between Israel and Jordan, between the Dead Sea and the Red Sea. The Jordan Rift Valley runs in a north-south direction from the end of the Sea of Galilee, Jordan River area, to the Dead Sea, and continues to and ends at the Red Sea. From the end of the Dead Sea to the Red Sea is said to be 103 miles. The southern Araba has almost no rain usually. It extends westward. Many of the towns in eastern Israel are said to be in the Araba. It was the home of the Edomites, or Idumea, in Roman times.
Is Pomona. Uniforms were made in textile factories in the United States. This were textile. Had a lot of money.
Davidson Center, or possibly Weizmann Institute.
Are being there and coming down from a computer, being transmitted on this book. And here's a whole nother story.
Weizmann Institute. The Weizmann Institute is an international center of scientific research and graduate study located in Rehovot, Israel, which is south of Tel Aviv. It offers only graduate and postgraduate instruction in the natural and exact sciences. It has about 2,500 students, postdoctoral fellows, staff, and facility. The Institute was founded by Hein Weizmann in 1934. Weizmann became the President of the State of Israel in 1949. The Koffler Accelerator. Continuing our tour of the Weizmann Institute. Currently in Ashdod. Ashdod is the 6th largest city in Israel. It is south of Tel Aviv, about 20 miles on the coast. It is Israel's largest port and deals with about 60% of the imports. Ancient Ashdod is mentioned in the Bible about 13 times. Reportedly, it dates back 3,700 years and is one of the oldest cities in the world. The modern city is near the ancient town. It has slightly over 200,000 people. We're going through Ashdod.
What? Oh, and more.
This is the harbor at Ashdod. This is the skyline of the city. This is called the Eye. Ashdod at roughly 6 o'clock in the morning. There's the Mediterranean. The city of Ashkelon in the distance. And that is the Mediterranean. We're getting ready to depart Ashdod.
And then
This is the ancient tell right there of the city.
We would need. Yeah.
As we're heading north, we just ran into where it was an accident and we got held up about 30 minutes. Driving along the Mount Carmel range. Many of the villages are Druze villages.
Christians, the church. But it's also just that's the corner.
It.
Yeah, that's north by northwest.
That's something.
We are in the Eshkol Tower in Haifa.
Toilets here if you need one. Hey kid, see the destruction of the forest fires because you see the forest right here in front of you? Yeah.
I remember doing.
No, 20 people lost their lives. Getting prisoners out of when I came here.
Here we're looking east, out at the Mediterranean. Here we're looking more north.
Last time you've come here, I'm sure you've done the overview.
Okay, we're looking at the overview. The old overview looking down onto the Baha'i Gardens, and right in the middle is the dome of the Baha'i Gardens.